What's the name of the show? Are we going with Dil's Roundtable?
What's this?
Hello and welcome to... Keep it going. Welcome to Dil's Roundtable. I'm Dilruk Jayasinha. I am a comedian by trade, but it's also my passion and obsession. And this week, or this episode, I'd like to discuss the idea of going from working stand-up comedy bits in the comedy circuit in short spots and then putting an hour show together at different festivals. My panel of experts for this particular topic is Adam Rozenbachs, Tommy Dassalo, and Xavier Michelides.
Good morning.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here and you threw that in straight away.
Been saving it up since I got the email about
yes,
this.
Yeah, really.
It's the only thing I thought of. It's the only prep I've got.
Yeah, that's all I wanted. Really.
That's all I'm
you
going to
can
do.
leave now
I
if you
can
want.
go.
Is this the first time you've publicly done that voice, that impression?
Of Guy Kumi?
Yeah.
Well, he's doing Guy Kumi, who is the guy from the BBC, the guy who was meant to be interviewed for BBC. Turned out he was applying for a job in the as a janitor or something, and they just sat him in front.
And as an IT expert, and it's the greatest.
And
when they go IT expert, he's like, "Good morning."
Yeah,
and he
just
keeps
runs
it going.
with
He's like,
yeah.
The best thing is like, so do you think how it's going to change the music industry? He goes, it's going to be incredible. You can go everywhere and listen to music. And they're like,
Cybercafe?
In the cybercafe, yes.
And as with all good jokes, you need to explain them.
They're the
best ones.
Yeah, this is going to be on the internet. Google it. It'll be fine.
I like that your panel of experts of how to put together from a club set to a festival show includes one man who's not doing a festival show this year.
Totally. But
Wait,
really
is that why
easy.
here it's like,
It's really easy.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
Don't do a
Don't
show.
do it, yeah. Just hang back, enjoy life.
why aren't you doing a show this year quickly?
Because you kind of have to have the show sort of in your head in about October of the previous year, and I was in Japan and I was enjoying myself too much and I just couldn't think of anything.
Do a show about Japan.
That's great. Just surrounded by like billboards and crazy stuff going on. What could I write about?
This place is very uninspiring.
Yeah.
For context, how long have you been in comedy, stand-up comedy, and how many shows have you done?
I've been doing stand-up comedy for about 25 years. And
Okay.
no, I think I no.
I want to see
you
where
believe that?
No, I'm happy to go with it. See where you're going to go. So, what the 25 years of doing?
25 years
and
of
now you're
stand-up.
32.
Yeah,
So you started when you were 7.
good math. Yeah, I started when I was 7, and
How was your first gig?
It was really, really good.
Yeah?
I was
Where at?
it was a family travelling show at the Swinging Pig,
Yeah.
and what would happen was my mum and dad would come out and they start throwing knives, and then my sister would come out and then she'd catch the knives,
Yeah.
and then I'd come out and I'd stab myself with the knives.
As a closer?
As the
or-
closer,
Right.
and I'd bleed out in front of everyone.
And how many nights did you perform?
One night, I died after
All
that.
right, so that's your experience. Tommy, how long have you?
I have been doing. I'm going to, for the sake of comedy, answer seriously because the well has been tapped dry. I reckon. I think like 12, 14 years or so. I've been doing stand up. I think this year will maybe be my 10th show.
10th solo 1 hour show.
Maybe, yeah. I
Something around that.
can't be bothered counting, but
Yeah.
it's something around that. Yeah.
And Zev, quickly, real answer. How many shows do you reckon you've done?
12.
12 1 hour
festivals.
shows?
The beginning ones were.
I'm talking about solo, like
Oh,
not
so then
split
I reckon
bills.
10 solos.
10 solos, right? And Rosie, before.
I've done 9, and the first ever Comedy Zone, I began Comedy Zone. I started that.
Yes, but the reason I brought the three of you in is you all three do great festival shows,
Appreciate it.
but in a very, I mean that,
Yeah.
but in very different styles. Like you have a fairly theatrical element to a lot of your solo stuff. You're all stand-up comics in your own right throughout the year
Debatable,
working. Debatable, but you bring more theatrical element. You would say is fairly straight stand-up.
Yeah.
You,
Pretty much.
You have a strong theme. You tend to have a strong theme.
Yeah.
Each year. Specifically, a couple of years ago, I did a show called Eurodad about your father.
Yeah, that was
And
probably the
travel.
most interactive one I did because that had audio in it.
Oh, okay.
But the rest was just straight stand-up.
All right, we'll come back
The
to that.
bloody Cirque du Soleil of Adam Rozenbachs.
Yeah,
back
pretty
catalogue.
much. Yeah, that's me branching out. Let's play that tape.
Track
yeah.
2 and then track 3. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you
Apparently,
need
if
to
you
know.
listen to it in reverse, it has a whole different meaning as well. And Tommy, your shows as well. You do bring a lot of. You bring something. You like to bring something extra when you have that hour to spend with an audience.
Yeah, someone described it as the value add. They said, I'm a big fan of the value add. Like, as in, like, you go to a show and there's just something else in there that you can tell, like, cost a bit of money to, like, make or build or, like, put together, where then as a punter you can be, like, you can kind of, like, see, oh, this is where my ticket price
Like
went
what?
to.
What have you had?
Well,
so-
I saw one show where you had those blow up palm trees.
Oh, yeah. I went
And
bought-
they aren't cheap.
Yeah.
When you paused on blow up, I'm like, here we go.
Here we go.
It was a
Oh, no, you
legit-
can still have sex with them.
Oh, yeah. There were holes.
Yeah.
There were fake vaginas in the palm tree.
Right.
In the coconuts.
In
Yeah.
the coconuts.
So like last year was probably one of the most ambitious ones you did.
Yeah, so last year I did a show where I illustrated a little book and got them printed up, and everyone in the audience got a copy, and you kind of read along with the show. And this person, that's particularly what they were talking about, like that, where you can go in and you can see like, oh, cool, there's money's been spent here. I don't know, because stand-up does tend to be, especially in festivals, stand-up is quite expensive for a punter, I think, or especially when people tour here from overseas. Like a stand-up show is like $80 or whatever to see like one person.
Who's charging that?
Like international people when they come out, like outside a festival. Like if you
Seinfeld?
go,
Oh, yeah.
no, well,
Outside,
Seinfeld,
yeah.
but like I went and saw who did I go see? Hannibal Buress
Cosby.
at the Art Centre. That was like $80 or something. For
Really?
just a dude.
Yeah, I think
on a stage.
Amy Schumer was about 150.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Someone said Robin Williams, R.I.P. bro.
Like you know him? Bro.
Apparently, when he was in town, he had quite a pricey ticket, and he did only like 40 minutes or something.
Oh, wow.
I remember someone telling me that they felt it was really unfair to pay that much, and then you actually ended up seeing more of the support acts or something like that.
Totally. Are you going to go to Seinfeld?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping. When's that? That's at the.
So when you say you hope so, you're hoping that you get a free ticket in the week before, aren't you? Is that what that is?
He's thinking he's supporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking of that. I'm hoping to support.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah, free ticket, or if not, I'll just buy a last minute ticket.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah, it's expensive, but would you guys go to see Seinfeld?
I don't think I would.
He's on your poster every year.
Yeah, that means I've surpassed him. I don't want him bringing me down.
For context, one of your best quotes that you have, which is Seinfeld with the black heart.
Yes,
Yeah.
from the age.
Yeah.
Yep.
He should be paying you to go along for all the
Ironically-
advertising you've been doing for him.
What people don't know is it was Kramer who said it. Seinfeld with the black heart, and he meant something completely different.
I had,
It was meant to be off the
a
record.
palm tree there. And,
But you're right. There's a ticket festival. Festival tickets are costly, and the idea of charging someone to just be on stage with a mic,
Yeah.
and that's what you're paying for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I just like, I mean, yeah, that's just like something someone else said about my show Describe once. But yeah, I like to kind of just do, I kind of like to get enough material that's been working in the rooms and
Yeah.
on the circuit. And then rather than kind of, like in the past, I would kind of fill in the gaps. If I had like 30 or 40 minutes that was working well, I would fill in the gaps with just some bullshit to kind of pad it out.
Yeah.
And it's just never as good. And I kind of got sick of getting to these bits in a show where you'd be like, now I've got to do this bit that I know isn't quite up to scratch.
Yeah.
And so I kind of reached a point where I went, well, why don't I, if I have this space for an hour, instead of just writing stuff that's subpar, why don't I do some weird theatrically stuff that I
Yeah.
couldn't do in any other context or do at a gig? So I had a show where I had like a little kid come out in the middle of the show and do stand-up as a 17-year-old version of me. So he was wearing like the same clothes as me in the show.
Yeah.
and
Lockie Clark.
Lockie Clark, yeah, who's now on a show on the Disney Channel, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I saw him the
got
other
his
day at a
start
gig,
here.
and yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's grown tall, and
He's much
a
taller
man
than
now.
you and-
He's like
Yeah.
double my height now.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
huge, yeah.
so did you have to wear the same clothes every night
Yeah.
for the show?
But I do that anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I like having the same. I like having you're into that, like a little uniform that
I
you
do,
wear on
but I have
stage.
different actual shirts. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot
Do
of.
you leave them backstage?
Yeah.
All right. You don't
Yeah.
go out partying them and then wear them the next day.
No, I get changed.
Professional.
Yeah.
Pro.
Do you wash it?
Yeah. On
How
the nights
often?
off, every 3 nights or so. But I don't sweat much on stage. Like I'm only wearing
Right.
it for an hour at a time.
Do you
so it's
do?
not too bad.
I sweat in my sleep.
you?
In my sleep. So do I. Look, we have an entire episode that's going to be dedicated with being fit in comedy. So you should.
I thought you were going to say a whole episode about your sweat. I'm like, wow, they really ran out of ideas towards the end of the series.
Xavier, with your shows,
Yeah.
is that fair that I said that it has a theatrical element to it?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I first started, I had a similar thing with Dassalo where I'd have like 30 minutes of material, and then I had this other section where I'd try and throw in anything. Like I didn't really know what I was doing, and the first show I did was rubbish. Like it was, 30 minutes of actual stand-up I did in clubs, and then 20 minutes of other things trying to stick to a theme, and it was really bad. So then after that, I was like, I'm going to just fully do completely themed show, not even include any stand-up in it, so I'm not shoehorning in ideas.
Right.
And then just, would sit down, here's the idea, and then write from there. And then it quickly became, it was easier to go, well, I'll do a theatrical stand-up character show.
Yeah, because there was one particular one that I wanted to talk about, which was, it's so high concept, it was the idea of Disney, Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Well, you tell it.
It was the idea that they defrost Walt Disney,
Right.
and they debut him at a dinner party. But in the future, it's so expensive to defrost people, a company bankrolls it, they pay for it,
Right.
and Disney couldn't afford to do it, the actual company. So a party supplies company own Walt Disney now. And then he gets defrosted and he comes out the party and he's racist and horrible.
Has that been done before? It sounds really familiar.
Wasn't there an
It's-
episode
I
of
know.
Modern Family where they
It's every sitcom. It's like that episode of a sitcom where the guy's got two dates going at once. This is
Gotcha.
one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one where
cliche.
they defrost Ross.
That'd be so good. Like it's suddenly they cut to the future and then Ross comes out.
Yeah.
How did Ross
Rachel's-
die again? I forget.
Yeah, being driven crazy by that lesbian ex-wife of his.
That was it. Murder suicide, wasn't it? Yeah. They
Yeah.
defrosted him and there's still a hole.
Yeah, Friends was a great show. It's what I wanted to say the whole time. Thanks for bringing that up. Rosie, what...
With the Disney show, though, this is what always scares me, is like, so you work in the
That's
circuit.
such a stupid idea.
No.
Why did you do it?
No. Like all that other stuff that, because the way I do is I do material in the clubs and then go, how does this fit into a show? Rather, like you said, I retrofit an idea rather than going with the theme. And your theme was so high concept. Like, do you look back on that year of how do you look back on that year of work you did in stand-up clubs and working on new material and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think I then have material for a bit longer than I think most comics in Melbourne because I'm writing that show for a year, so then I'm not writing new stand-up. So I'm still writing new stand-up,
Yeah.
but not like everyone else who's writing that new hour within the year to go
Right.
bang, here it is. But this current show is back to stand-up again, and I've been writing a whole new hour.
All right.
So I've changed it up again because
Let
I
us do
got
this.
bored with it because it was let us do this because it just got it got annoying to that to sort of go I'm doing two jobs at once. I'm doing clubs and I'm hating the material that I've hung on to for 2 years,
Right.
Yeah.
and then I'm also writing this new hour that then disappears after the festivals.
Right.
And
Can you do any of like the Walt Disney show in a club set?
none at all?
So that's a really disappointing thing. Like
Yeah.
if you people may not know, but you kind of take like 25, 30 minutes out of a good festival
I
show,
give
and that's
myself,
great.
Yeah, that target of going, if I don't have new 20 from the new show, then I haven't really done a...
Yeah,
I haven't done
that's-
myself.
yeah.
That's kind of what
You're
I-
disappointed.
Yeah.
That's the goal,
So
yeah.
for you to spend so much time on that and then exist in that hour and then you put it to the side and you don't do it again.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing.
Because what a weird way to set it up as well. All right, guys, now just put this into context. It's the future.
Yeah.
It's never
But I
going to
think
work.
it's also a bit to do with the market here as well. Like if we had more of a long-term festival circuit and you could tour a show around a bit longer, it might be worth your while a bit more to just commit fully to just doing these shows that aren't
Yes.
just stand-up.
But
But as
don't-
it stands, it's like you can work on it for a bit in Adelaide and then do it here for a month in Melbourne and then maybe, a night or two here in Sydney.
Yeah.
And then the back end of the year, unless your show goes huge,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you do all the
Don't we
arts
have,
festivals
like,
as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Don't we have, like, the Melbourne Fringe and the Perth Fringe and all that?
Yeah,
Isn't there enough of, like,
We
opportunities?
do. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's also to do with like if you want to make a living, it's very hard to make a living off just doing those. Like you take a big gamble.
Yeah,
like
so
every
it's
time you
you
go
going.
onto an
I
arts
can spend
festival.
the year working as a comic, or I can spend the year taking a risk every festival. Going, all right, I hope this. Because the annoying thing is, unless, like you said, it goes huge, you're reselling the show again to people. You have to
Right.
go,
Yeah.
hey everyone, so it's
Yeah.
about Walt Disney.
Disney,
Yeah.
yeah.
I even nearly got in trouble for. I met someone who works for Disney in Australia. And they were
wow.
like, you shouldn't have made that show. But I put in a little. I'm going to ruin the show now. I put in a clause. He actually wasn't Walt Disney because they have to replace every single cell in your body to bring you back. So
Right.
technically, he's a clone.
Right.
Yeah, take that.
Good twist.
So wait, hang on. We got a spoiler from the show that we will never see now.
You're never going to see it.
I just thought, what was that show called?
Ford.
Ford, okay. I had in my head that it was called Frozen, which would be amazing if you'd done a show about Disney called Frozen.
Yeah.
And then years later, Disney make a film.
They made
called
that. Then you go
Frozen.
sue them.
Yeah.
Wow.
That'd be amazing.
Would have been great. Yeah.
Yeah, no. What a missed opportunity.
Adam, but you have the approach that I tend to do, which is try and get stand-up into work into a show and then take that stuff from the show back into stand-up circuit. Do you find it do you find the theme and then try, because you're a joke writer. Like you're you do a lot of work for TV writing, and you write daily on Twitter and stuff like that as well.
Very popular on Twitter.
Very popular on Twitter. So for you to have the theme, you have the ability to then just write to that. Because you did one about your allergy to nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that was very loose. A lot of the shows I tend to do, and I think a lot of comedians will do this, is I'll pick a topic and then there might be like 5 to 10 minutes rather than a full story arc that contains that whole show. The year that I took off booze, breaking booze, that was pretty much, the whole show was about drinking.
Right.
But it was also pretty much celebrating drinking. It wasn't really talking about the upside of not drinking because, as you know, it's quite dull.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And then the one about going overseas with my dad, that was just fully about the travel and, you know, life around that. But generally, I just kind of pick a topic and then sort of reverse engineer stuff to fit around that, but it's very loose.
I also find that I think when you're a newer comic, you're, like we talked about, trying to sell the show as much as possible. Finding a theme really sets you apart from everyone else. If you have a strong enough theme that you can hammer, that'll sell more tickets. So I can see the
You do. I find I do try and think of it from a marketing angle.
Yeah.
You know, like the Traces of Nut one was just good because you go, there's a point of difference to other, you know, comedians. The one going overseas was my dad, the booze one.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps. Like last year I did Life Hack, and it was a very loose sort of theme, and it kind of wasn't, the show wasn't much about it. Just kind of hard to get yourself sold into the newspapers and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
love
kind of my thinking with putting weird little things extra to stand up. Because again, it's like, there's so many shows in the comedy festival. It's such an overcrowded market that's just the hardest thing to stand out, especially if you're a, straight white guy. There's like a dime a dozen of, here's what I think of the world. So I always think like if you put in something a bit weird in there, that kind of separates you from the pack.
and if you don't have a profile and people are just, like you said, looking through the guide, you just got to give them something that pops up and they go, oh, let's just see this. We don't know who this is. But it stands out from the other 7,000 shows that are on. You've
had a lot of strong themes. You've had the book was not necessarily a theme, but that like a hook. And you've done the Vegemite show. I always think of your shows in those terms.
Yeah,
like the cancer show, the Vegemite show.
I did a show.
You got cancer to do the show.
I went method. I registered the show, and then I started hanging around a lot of radiation and stuff like that.
The commitment to the art that people don't realize that you do. People thought the book was hard.
Yeah. I'm the Daniel Day-Lewis of festival shows. I really go in.
You won the Golden Kino that year, didn't you? It was worth it. You're the only one nominated.
Seinfeld with the black heart.
The award was created that year. I'm getting excited what he nearly died.
It was really hard the next year when they were like, who do we give it to now?
I know.
He's sort of still the reigning champ.
But it was bullshit because I got AIDS that year as well. No one noticed. Bullshit.
No one noticed.
No one noticed. Grim.
Look at me.
It's unfair.
I love that. That's so like ultimately the ultimate comic selfishness. Going, at least notice that I've got it. With Eurodad, that was, would you say, the strong? Like you said, you had interactive elements, you had audio stuff like that. And you did it, and it was quite successful. You have potential to take it to other festivals, bring it back. There's a lot of people want to see it again. Does that now give you the feeling of like these guys wanting to now go more to shows down that path a bit more?
I mean, firstly, yes, you're right. I have peaked. And secondly,
clear Bachelor of the Year nomination.
Well, true,
that was the peak.
Top 50.
Top 50 was it?
There's 50 people in it.
Really?
I was equal second.
Really?
Well, with 49 other people. I would happily do another show like that because I really enjoyed the different element to it. It wasn't just straight stand-up and it was just a nice thing, but I would never try and force it. So that one just felt really good. I did a trial show and someone said to me, because in the trial show there was no audio from Dad, and someone came up to me afterwards and be like, it'd be great to hear. It'd be great to hear what your dad thought of it as well. And I thought that is just such a good element. And to get his side of it, because I painted him as just like this complete nut to travel with.
For
And-
example, one of my favorite things is the about bins. Like the fact that he was
when
in
we're
Paris.
in Munich.
Oh,
No, we're in Munich, and he said, "What night's bin night?"
Yeah, I love that.
don't know.
That to me sums up the whole just that moment.
Yeah,
is that idea
yeah.
of being in Munich and dad's worried about bin night. Like that
Yes.
to me is pretty much.
It's your parents.
Yeah.
It sums up your
Yeah,
parents. And so I was going that hard that it just was probably very lopsided. People going, this guy can't be this insane. And then when I got his recordings of it, and people were like, wow, this man is like properly mental.
Yeah.
And would be incredibly hard to travel with. So it actually helped my position because they heard,
Yes.
the opposite side of it.
That's the best thing about this time of year is like everyone's kind of so in their own head and like worried about their own show, and there is a sense of like competition once the festival starts.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
no one wants to be the person who's getting no one to their show, but at the same time there is like a real nice sense of community where you're so in your own head and you're like, I can't get this bit to work. I wonder how. And like someone will just see you at a gig or see a trial and just give you something like that offhandedly.
Yeah, just a device that changes
Yeah,
everything.
just came
Yeah.
into their head just quickly like, oh, what if you tried this? And it's like, oh my God, that's opened up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I really enjoy watching trials for that, just to see
Yes.
where people are going. And, as comedians, you don't watch it like a normal person would.
Yeah.
You just see, an arc and you just go, why don't you go down that path? And they're like you just said,
Yeah.
And you have
perfect. That's
like
what we need.
that aha moment that sometimes you just don't see because you're so invested into
Yeah,
your
you're too
shit.
close.
Yeah.
Like I think had a gig last year. We were driving back, or you drove me back, and I was just telling you a thing that I was just struggling with it, and just merely because you didn't have any context to the other bullshit of the show, or whatever, you're
Yeah.
like, well, why don't you just say this? I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Because that's the disadvantage of working in the clubs in that isolation. Because you're like, oh, this can only work as a 5-minute bit.
Yes.
Not realizing that once you have the show, you actually have more chances
Flesh
to
it
give
out,
it more.
yeah.
We got room to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a few weeks ago. I did a trial show on a Sunday night, and then the next night, Tom Ballard did a trial show, and we went to each other's, and we were having dinner afterwards and just giving each other notes. And it was a very illuminating conversation because it was like I go through and give him my notes on his show, where it's like this bit where you're talking about like racism and like social injustice and the refugees. Maybe you could put this stuff in, and then he gets to his notes on my show. He's like, so this bit where you're saying that you look like an egg. It's like, we should have done this the other way around. This is brutal. What am I doing?
Free range,
Nothing matters.
Yeah,
Nothing matters.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming along. Really, really appreciate it. Be safe.
Thanks, man.
I just didn't know.
Good luck
man.
out there.
You got to come up with an
You know,
ending.
Yeah.
keep up with it. Don't let it go. But no, very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks, Dilruk.